Ty had faced storms, heartbreak, and loss, but nothing terrified him more than this moment. One question sat heavy on his chest, a question that could change 3 lives forever. Tonight, Ty wasn't running anymore. Tonight he was finally ready to ask for what he had. Bite stood alone, the evening air quiet around him, yet his mind was louder than ever. Every thought circled back to the same truth he had been avoiding for too long. No matter how far he went, no matter how busy he kept himself, one name always found him: Amy. In one small heartbeat, he had never held Lyndy. He told himself there would be a right time, a perfect moment. But deep down, he knew that moment never comes on its own. You have to choose it. His phone felt heavier in his hand than it should have. Ty stared at the screen, reading the message he had typed and erased more times than he could count. Each word carried weight. This wasn't just a message, it was a door. Once opened, there would be no going back. His chest tightened as doubt crept in. What if Amy said no? What if Lyndy didn't want to know him at all? The fear wasn't about rejection anymore, it was about regret, the kind that stays with you for life. At Heartland, Amy felt it before she saw it. Strange pull, a quiet sense that something was shifting. When her phone buzzed, she froze. Ty's name lit up the screen, simple and familiar, yet powerful enough to steal her breath. She didn't open the message right away. Instead, she looked out across the ranch, her thoughts rushing faster than her heart could keep up. Ty reaching out was never simple. It never came without consequences. When Amy finally read the message, her hands trembled just slightly. Ty didn't explain everything. He didn't apologize or make excuses. He only asked one thing, something honest, something terrifying. He wanted to talk. Not about the past, not about what went wrong, but about now, about Lyndy, about meeting her. Amy's first instinct was to protect, to pull back, to shield her daughter from old wounds. But deep inside, she knew this moment was inevitable. Back with Ty, the seconds stretched painfully as he waited. Each passing moment felt like another chance slipping away. He wasn't asking to fix everything. He wasn't asking for forgiveness. He was asking for a chance to be seen not as the man who left, but as the man who finally stayed. When his phone buzzed again, his heart nearly stopped. Amy's reply was short, careful, and guarded. But it wasn't a no. In that single moment, Ty realized something had already changed. The question had been asked. The silence was broken. And whether he was ready or not, the truth was finally on its way. And afraid of the most, Ty didn't sleep that night. The room was dark, quiet, yet his thoughts refused to slow down. Every time he closed his eyes, the same picture appeared: Lyndy's face, a face he knew only through stories and stolen glances from far away. She was no longer a baby. She was growing, learning, becoming her own person, and he had missed so much of it. That truth hurt more than anything else he had ever carried. He sat on the edge of the bed, rubbing his hands together like he was trying to warm them, but the cold wasn't outside. It was inside his chest. Ty had faced danger before. He had taken risks that could have cost him his life, yet none of that compared to the fear of facing his own child. What if Lyndy looked at him and felt nothing? What if she asked why he hadn't been there? There were no strong answers to those questions, only honesty. Honesty felt frighteningly thin. Ty thought about Amy, about the strength it took for her to raise Lyndy while carrying her own heartbreak. He knew he didn't deserve trust. He knew he couldn't ask for forgiveness like it was something simple. This wasn't about fixing the past, it was about standing still long enough to face it. For the first time, Ty wasn't planning an escape. He wasn't looking for reasons to delay. He was choosing to stay in the discomfort, even if it broke him. He walked to the window and watched the early light creep into the sky. A new day was beginning, and with it came a quiet promise he made to himself. If Amy gave him one chance, he wouldn't waste it. He wouldn't rush Lyndy or push his place into her life. He would earn it, step by step, no matter how slow the journey was. Being a father wasn't about showing up once. It was about showing up again and again. I picked up his phone and opened the photo Amy had once sent him. Lyndy was smiling, carefree, unaware of the storm of emotions tied to her name. His eyes filled, but he didn't turn away. This pain was proof that he cared, and caring meant he still had something worth fighting for. For the first time in years, Ty wasn't thinking about what he had lost. He was thinking about what he could still become. And as the sun rose fully into the sky, Ty made peace with one simple truth. Meeting Lyndy might not heal everything, but not meeting her would haunt him forever. Amy stood near the paddock fence, watching Lyndy play, her laughter floating through the air like something fragile and precious. Moments like this always reminded her why she had built such strong walls around her heart. Lyndy's world was safe, steady, and full of love, and Amy had worked hard to keep it that way. Ty's message had shaken that balance. Stirring emotions she had carefully buried for years, she tried to focus on the simple things, the sound of hooves, the smell of hay, the warmth of the morning sun, but her mind kept drifting back to Ty's words. He hadn't demanded anything, he hadn't pushed. It made it harder. Instead, he had asked with honesty, and honesty always leaves room for doubt. Amy asked herself the same question over and over again. Was she protecting Lyndy, or was she protecting herself? The line between the two felt thin and painful. She remembered the nights she held Lyndy through fevers, the quiet mornings when it was just the two of them against the world. Lyndy had never known uncertainty, never felt abandoned. Amy feared that opening this door might introduce questions she couldn't answer. Later that evening, Amy sat alone at the kitchen table, Ty's message still open on her phone. She imagined Lyndy asking about her father, her small voice full of curiosity and trust. Amy knew that one day, those questions would come whether she was ready or not. The truth was, Lyndy deserved more than silence. She deserved a chance to understand where she came from, even if that truth was complicated. With a deep breath, Amy typed her response slowly, choosing each word with care. She didn't promise anything beyond a conversation. She didn't offer hope or comfort. But she didn't close the door either. As she pressed send, her hands trembled, not from fear alone, but from the weight of what this choice might bring. Amy looked back toward Lyndy's room, where the soft glow of a nightlight shone under the door. Whatever came next, Amy knew one thing for sure. Every decision she made would be for her daughter. Even if it meant facing a past she had tried so hard to leave behind. The call connected. Neither of them spoke. The silence wasn't empty, it was heavy, filled with everything they had never said. Ty could hear Amy breathing on the other end, steady but guarded. It had been so long since they had talked like this, without anger, without rushing, without pretending nothing hurt. This time, there was no place to hide. Ty broke the silence first. His voice was calm, but careful, like he was walking across thin ice. He didn't start with apologies or memories. He went straight to the truth, told Amy he wasn't calling to change the past or undo mistakes. He was calling because he couldn't ignore what mattered anymore. Wanted to meet Lyndy, not as a hero, not as someone who expected love, but as her father. Amy listened without interrupting. Each word landed slowly, pressing against her heart. She asked him why now. Why, after all this time, he had chosen this moment. Ty didn't give a perfect answer. He admitted that fear had kept him away. Fear of failing, fear of hurting them both. But the fear of staying silent had become worse. He told her he was tired of being a ghost in Lyndy's life. There was a pause, longer this time. Amy's voice, when it came, was firm but honest. She reminded Ty that Lyndy wasn't a memory or a second chance. She was a child with her own feelings, her own sense of safety. This wasn't about what Ty wanted. It was about what Lyndy needed. Ty agreed without hesitation, said he would accept any boundary Amy set, any pace she chose. Amy asked the question she'd been holding back. What if Lyndy didn't want to meet him? What if she felt confused or scared? Ty's answer was quiet but steady. Then he would step back. He would carry that pain himself, as long as Lyndy stayed protected. Hearing that, Amy felt something shift. Not trust, but the beginning of it. The call ended without promises, without clear answers. But when the line went dead, both of them knew the same truth. They had crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. The conversation they had avoided for years had finally begun, and nothing would be the same again. After the call ended, the ranch felt unusually quiet. Amy sat beside Lyndy later that evening, brushing her hair as the child talked about her day. Simple stories, small joys, laughter without worry. Every word made Amy's chest tighten, because now every moment felt fragile, like it could change without warning. Lyndy didn't know that her name had just become the center of a life-changing choice. When Lyndy finally fell asleep, Amy stayed by her side longer than usual. She watched her daughter breathe, calm and steady, and wondered how much of the truth a heart that young could hold. Amy knew she couldn't rush this. A meeting wasn't just a meeting. It was a door opening to questions, feelings, and bonds that could not be undone. And once opened, there would be no way to close it again. Across town, Ty prepared in his own quiet way. He didn't practice speeches or plan perfect words. Instead, he sat with the fear and let it settle. He knew this meeting wasn't about being liked. It was about being real. He reminded himself that Lyndy didn't owe him anything, not a smile, not a hug, not even curiosity. If she chose distance, he would respect it. Amy finally sent a message that night, short, careful. She agreed to let Ty meet Lyndy, but only once and only with clear limits. No pressure, no promises. Lyndy's comfort came first, always. Ty read the message again and again, feeling both relief and responsibility crash into him at the same time. This wasn't a victory, it was a test. As the night grew deeper, both Amy and Ty lay awake in separate places, thinking about the same small girl. Neither of them knew how the meeting would go, but one thing was clear: the future had started moving, and there was no stopping it now. The day of the meeting arrived quietly, without drama or warning. No storms in the sky, no signs from the world, just a normal day carrying an extraordinary weight. Ty arrived early, standing a short distance away, giving Amy the space she had asked for. He didn't pace. He didn't check his phone. He simply waited, reminding himself that patience was the least he owed them. Amy took a deep breath before stepping forward with Lyndy. She held her daughter's hand gently. It's not too tight, not too loose. She had explained only what was needed, nothing more. Lyndy knew they were meeting someone important, someone from her past, and that was enough for now. Amy kept her voice calm, even as her heart raced. When Lyndy saw Ty, she stopped. Not from fear, but curiosity. She studied him the way children do, honest, without judgment. Ty lowered himself slightly, keeping his distance, letting her decide what came next. He didn't reach out. He didn't speak right away. He just smiled softly, a smile filled with hope and restraint. Amy watched closely, ready to step in if needed. But something unexpected happened. Lyndy didn't turn away. She asked a simple question, her voice small but steady. Ty answered just as simply. No titles, no claims, just truth offered gently. In that moment, Amy felt the tight grip around her heart loosen just a little. Nothing big happened. No tears, no sudden bond. Just a quiet beginning. And sometimes, that is the bravest thing of all. The moment didn't last long, yet it felt like time had slowed just for them. Lyndy stayed close to Amy, her hands still wrapped in her mother's. But her eyes kept drifting back to Ty. There was no fear in her gaze, only quiet curiosity. The kind that asks questions without words. Ty noticed every small detail, but he didn't push. He knew this wasn't his moment to lead. Amy finally spoke, gently guiding the conversation, keeping it light and safe. She watched Lyndy closely, ready to step in at the smallest sign of discomfort. But Lyndy stayed calm. She listened. She nodded. She accepted the moment for what it was. For Amy, that alone felt like a victory. When it was time to leave, Ty didn't ask for more. He didn't suggest another meeting or make promises he couldn't keep. He simply thanked Amy for trusting him, even a little, and thanked Lyndy for giving him her time. His voice didn't shake, but his heart did. This wasn't an ending. It was a fragile pause. As Amy and Lyndy walked away, Amy glanced back once. Ty was still standing there watching them with a mix of hope and humility. In that look, Amy saw something different than before. Not regret alone, but patience. Growth. A man who finally understood that love isn't proven by words, but by respect. That night, Lyndy asked a quiet question before falling asleep. Amy answered honestly, without fear. And in that small exchange, Amy knew the truth. This meeting hadn't changed everything, but it had changed enough. And sometimes, that is how the most important stories begin.